If you are having issues with your casting distance, the biggest mistake that I see out on the water is not having enough line on your spinning reel, and this will affect how far you can cast. In this video, we're going to talk about this, and specifically the amount of gap that you have from the edge of the line on your reel to the edge of the spool. If this gap gets to be larger than 1/8 of an inch, you're cutting into your casting distance. Matter of fact, in some tests that I have done, whenever that gap gets to 1/8 of an inch, I've lost as much as 10% of my casting distance. And whenever that gap gets as large as 1/4 of an inch, the amount of distance that I can cast really cuts down. And the reason for this is because the bigger the gap, the more friction that line's going to have coming off your spool, and the more friction you have, the more effect it's going to have on how far you're going to be able to cast. Now, why is casting distance so important? Well, if you think about it, if you are a land-based angler, then you're already limited to the amount of water that you can access anyway. And if you cut down your casting distance, you're really limiting to the amount of water that you can cover. Now, if you're fishing out of a vessel, whether that be a kayak or whether that be a boat, the easiest fish to catch are the ones that don't know you're there, and the ones that don't know you're there are the ones that are going to be furthest away. So the ones that you can get to by having the greatest casting distance and the most accurate are going to be the easiest fish for you to catch. And that's why getting the most out of your casting performance is very important. Now, there's a couple different reasons on why the gap can get larger as you're using the reel. First one is going to be if you ever have to cut off line, whether that be you get hung up, whether you get snagged, the line gets frayed. Every time that you strip some line off that reel and cut it and have to retie, then you're going to make that gap larger and larger. And then after a while, what's going to happen is that gap is going to get so large it's going to cut into how far you can cast. Another reason this could happen is because whenever you bought your spool of line from the store and you put it on your reel, it didn't fill up your reel properly to begin with. And this is really common with braid. A lot of times your braid comes in 150-yard spools, and when you put that on your reel, oftentimes it doesn't fill it up all the way. And that's one of the reasons why it's important to use mono backer whenever you're using braided line, to make sure that you get all the line on the reel that you need. Now, it's also important to not overfill your reel, because what happens if you overfill your reel? When you open up your bail, all that excess line is going to fall off and it's going to create a mess. So it's a line management issue. So what is the right amount of gap to have? For inshore applications and most reels, we're going to recommend somewhere between 1/16 of an inch and 1/8 of an inch gap between the edge of the line on your reel and the actual edge of the spool itself. This is going to give you the maximum casting distance with the least amount of headaches when it comes to line management. So this is just the biggest mistake that I see out on the water. There are some other ones out there, and if you are clicking on this video, more than likely you're somebody that's having issues with casting. Now, the answer that I gave you is probably not something that you would have suspected, and that's the issue when it comes to looking for stuff on the internet when it comes to inshore fishing. Is if you don't know it, you don't know it, and you won't know to look for it. And that's why we came up with a curriculum at Salt Strong that's going to help you out and teach you the things that you need in order to become a better angler, and it's not going to skip any steps. So no matter where you are in your fishing journey, whether you are a beginner, an intermediate, or an advanced angler, we have a curriculum based for you. And once you go through this whole curriculum from start to finish, you're going to be armed with the knowledge that you need to never get skunked again and to know what to do when you're out on the water to make the changes that are necessary to catch those fish. So if this is something that you're interested in, we have a special offer right now for just $10 a month. Not only do you have access to the curriculum, you also get access to our community, to the Smart Fishing Spots app, to tackle discounts and group discounts. And if you sign up right now, we're going to send you $50 worth of merchandise, and you can keep that for free, even if this is not a fit for you. So for the details on that special offer, it's in the video description down below.